The Varnak were a proud race. For centuries, they had lived in peace, growing their cities under the red sun of Torvik 7. Their warriors were strong, their leaders wise. But peace did not last forever. The Keth dominion came like a storm, merciless, powerful, and hungry for control. Now, the Varnak were surrounded. Their cities were ash, their armies broken. Only a few hundred warriors remained, trapped inside the last mountain fortress. Smoke filled the sky. The ground shook with every blast from the Keth artillery. Varnak warriors sat with their backs against the stone walls, bleeding, tired, and silent. The air was thick with the smell of fire and death. Commander Rakel, once the strongest warrior in his clan, now leaned on a cracked staff. His left arm was gone, lost in battle 2 days ago. He looked out across the valley. The Keth soldiers moved like ants, thousands of them, setting up weapons and siege tanks. They were preparing for the final attack. "We cannot hold them," Rakel whispered. His voice was dry and low. "This is the end." No one argued. The warriors knew it was true. High Priest Yorna stood behind him. "We have sent messages to the stars, all known allies. No one has answered." Rakel gave a bitter smile. "Why would they? We are defeated. Helping us would only bring the Keth's wrath on them." The warriors said nothing. Some closed their eyes. Some held hands. A few whispered prayers to gods who had long stopped listening. Then a strange sound echoed in the sky. It was deep and loud, like thunder but different. Not natural. Mechanical. A few warriors looked up. The sound grew louder. The sky above the mountain darkened, not with smoke, but with shapes. "What is that?" one young warrior asked, standing slowly. The ground trembled again. But this time it wasn't from Keth weapons. It was something falling. No landing. A burning streak crossed the sky. Then another. Then 10 more. They weren't missiles. They were ships. The Varnak stared in silence. The largest ship hit the far side of the valley and sent dust flying into the air. Metal doors opened. Shapes stepped out. Tall, armored figures carrying heavy weapons. They marched like machines but moved like hunters. Their helmets glowed red in the smoke. Who are they?" asked Yorna, stepping beside Rakel. A scream rose from the Keth line. One of the armored figures raised a weapon and fired. A bright blue bolt slammed into a Keth tank and blew it apart in a fireball. More bolts followed. The new soldiers moved fast, deadly, silent. The Keth army, so large and confident, began to scatter. Commander Rakel's eyes widened. "They're not Varnak. Not any species I know. They are humans," said a deep voice from behind. Everyone turned. An old Varnak scholar limped forward, holding a glowing data tablet. "I studied their kind once, long ago, when they were still new to the stars. A Deathworld species. They were banned from many councils. Too dangerous, too violent." "Then why are they here?" Yorna asked. The scholar shook his head. "I don't know, but I fear the Keth made a mistake." Down in the valley, the battle turned into chaos. The humans, if that's what they were, moved like ghosts through the smoke. Their armor reflected fire. Their weapons tore through metal. One soldier picked up a fallen Keth warrior and threw him 10 meters into a wall. Rakel gripped the edge of the wall with his one hand. They fight like beasts, but with discipline, like they were born for war. One of the human soldiers raised his arm. A small flying machine zipped out of his backpack and hovered above the battlefield, scanning, targeting, killing. A Keth commander tried to escape in a shuttle. The drone followed and exploded midair, taking the shuttle with it. The Varnak were stunned. For the first time in days, they were not afraid. The human squad reached the outer gate of the fortress. The lead soldier stepped forward. His armor hissed as he removed his helmet. He was scared, eyes cold, jaw like stone. He looked up at the Varnak standing above. "We're here to help," he said in perfect Varnak. The warriors were too shocked to reply. Behind him, more dropships fell from the sky. The Varnak didn't know whether to cheer or run. Yorna looked at the commander. What should we do? Rakel kept his eyes on the human. We wait, and we watch. These are not saviors. These are predators, and we must pray they see us as allies, not prey. The human commander tapped his earpiece. Landing zone secured. Minimal resistance. Prepare Phase 2. A voice replied in his ear. Phase 2 authorized. Unleash the hounds. The Varnak didn't understand what it meant. But as more humans landed, bigger, heavier, carrying strange devices, they felt something new. Hope mixed with fear. Because sometimes being saved by monsters is still better than being killed by worse ones. And as the Keth screamed in the valley below, the Varnak knew one thing. Something had changed. Forever. The battlefield was quiet for only a few seconds. Then the sky roared again. More human dropships fell like burning comets. They hit the ground hard, shaking the valley. The Keth tried to regroup, but they were not ready for this kind of enemy. They expected another weak species. What they got were Deathworlders. The lead human soldier, the one who spoke perfect Varnak, raised his arm. His voice was calm, cold. Clear the path. No survivors. His team spread out with machine-like speed. One soldier carried a cannon on his shoulder. He fired once. A group of Keth infantry exploded into dust. Another soldier leaped forward with a short blade, dodging enemy fire and cutting through armored enemies like paper. Their moves were fast. Too fast. Even the Varnak warriors watching from the mountain couldn't follow all of it. Commander Rakel narrowed his eyes. They're not just soldiers, they're trained killers. Yorna looked uneasy. We asked for help, but I don't think they came just to help us. On the battlefield, a Keth tank rolled forward, its plasma gun glowing hot. The human squad didn't retreat. Instead, one of them, just one, ran straight toward it. The tank fired. The blast missed by inches. The human jumped onto the tank, planted a charge, and dove off. A second later, the tank burst into flames. The Varnak gasped. Then they noticed something stranger. The human soldiers didn't cheer. They didn't shout. They didn't even speak to each other. They just kept moving forward, cold, silent, and deadly. The human commander looked up again toward the mountain. His voice came through the loudspeaker. You're not safe up there. The Keth have long-range weapons. If you want to live, come down. Rakel hesitated. What do we do? We have no choice, said Yorna. If we stay here, we'll die. If we follow them, we might live. For now. The Varnak opened the gates. Cautiously, they began walking down. Some carried wounded. Others held weapons, but pointed them down, not at the humans. When they reached the base, the human soldiers didn't even look at them. They were already setting up defenses, building a perimeter, placing strange machines in the dirt. The human commander walked up to Rakel. You're the leader. Rakel nodded. I am Rakel of the Varnak. And you are? The human hesitated. Then he said, Lieutenant Jace Carter, Earth Recon Forces. Rakel looked him over. His armor was scratched, dented, but nothing slowed him down. His eyes were sharp, cold, not cruel, but empty, like a man who had seen too much. You speak our language, Rakel said. We study every species we might meet, just in case of peace, in case of war. Before Rakel could ask more, Jace turned and tapped his helmet. Base camp secure. Begin extraction of survivors. Deploy drone shields. Keth aren't done yet. Yorna walked beside Rakel and whispered, Do you feel it? The fear in the air is gone, but something worse has taken its place. Rakel nodded slowly. The Keth were monsters, but these humans, they fight like it's nothing. Like war is normal for them. One of the human soldiers approached. She held a small device and scanned Rakel and the others. Vitals stable. Light injuries. Triage teams incoming. Rakel frowned. Triage. She means medics, Jace said. But our medics don't ask. They fix or they leave you behind. Within minutes, more human soldiers landed, this time with medpods, supply crates, and mini turrets. The area around the Varnak became a human war zone. Organized, controlled, efficient. Suddenly, gunfire erupted from the East Ridge. Keth reinforcements. The Varnak ducked. But the humans didn't move. Their turrets came online and began firing. Drones flew into the sky and shot down incoming missiles. One human soldier pulled out a rocket launcher and fired without blinking. 3 Keth bikes exploded mid-charge. The fight lasted 6 minutes. And when it was done, the humans hadn't lost a single soldier. Rakel watched in silence. His people were brave, strong. But these humans fought like the war was part of their soul. Jace walked back, wiping blood from his gloves. This was just the beginning, he said. The Keth will regroup. But we're not going anywhere. Why? Rakel asked. Why did you come? Jace's face didn't change. Because someone sent out a distress call. And because Earth remembers what the Keth did to us 50 years ago. Yorna stepped forward. You're here for revenge. Jace looked at her. We're here to clean up a mess. Doesn't matter who started it. He tapped his earpiece again. Command, send in the next wave. Secure airspace. This planet isn't falling. Rakel looked at the sky. More dropships were coming. More soldiers. More fire. He turned to his people. The war isn't over. And far above the planet, in the blackness of space, Earth's true fleet waited, ready to bring the storm. The night sky was no longer dark. Human warships floated in low orbit, their lights glowing like stars, but not peaceful ones. They were symbols of destruction, of power ready to strike. Down below, the valley had changed completely. What was once a Keth war zone was now a fortress controlled by humans. The Varnak stood quietly, watching these strange new allies at work. They had never seen anything like it. The humans moved with purpose. Every soldier had a task. Drones flew between supply crates. Engineers built barriers and autocannons with machines that looked like they came from another world. No orders were shouted, only silent signals and soft voices in strange headsets. Commander Rakel walked among them, still unsure if this was salvation or something worse. Yorna followed beside him. They are not like us, she said softly. Even their silence is heavy. He nodded. They prepare like they've done this 1,000 times. They had. Suddenly, a loud voice echoed through the camp. A tall human officer stood on a raised platform. His armor was thicker than the others, marked with a black eagle. His face was hidden behind a dark helmet. I am Major Cross, Earth Forces. This operation is now called Reckoning. All surviving Varnak are under our protection. Some of the Varnak whispered, protection or control. Cross continued, you will be moved to a safe zone. You will receive food, medicine, and shelter. But make no mistake, this is a war zone. Anyone who interferes with our mission will be removed. Yorna frowned. Removed? What does that mean? Rakel answered without looking away. It means they decide who lives. The next morning, the human operation began. The mission pushed the Keth back. They called it Phase 2. The first move was a full-scale assault on the Keth command center to the north. A massive metal beast rolled out of a human dropship. It wasn't just a tank. It was something more, a mobile fortress. Twin railguns on each side. Missiles in the back. It moved with a deep rumble, crushing everything in its path. Varnak warriors watched in awe. Some were given translator headsets. Others were told to stay back. A few brave ones joined the humans on their mission, holding weapons with shaking hands. One of them was Jor, the youngest warrior in Rakel's team. He followed a human squad into the forest hills, where the Keth had hidden traps. Jor had seen battle, but he had never seen humans fight up close. The lead human, call sign Wraith, moved without sound. His armor blended into the trees. His weapon made no noise, but every time it flashed, a Keth soldier dropped. One by one, the enemy fell without even knowing what hit them. Jor almost forgot to breathe. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the hill. A Keth ambush. Smoke covered everything. Screams filled the air. "Move-y," Wraith shouted. The humans didn't run away. They charged, straight into the blast. Jor followed. Through the smoke, he saw two human soldiers pull a wounded ally out of the fire. Another activated a small drone that hovered and dropped a healing mist. One pressed a button, and the ground opened up, revealing a hidden turret. The Keth tried to retreat. They didn't make it. By the time the smoke cleared, the hill was silent again. Dead silent. The Keth were gone. Jor sat on a rock, shaking. His hands were covered in ash. One of the humans walked over and handed him water. "You fought well," the soldier said. Jor stared at him. You don't fear death." The soldier shrugged. "I've already met it. This is just a second date." Back at base, Rakel received the news. "The North Sector is ours," said Lieutenant Jace Carter, reading a digital map. "Casualties. 3 injured. No deaths." Rakel couldn't believe it. That was a full Keth camp. "And now it's not," Jace replied simply. Yorna stepped forward. "What's your plan after this? Will you leave once the Keth are gone?" Jace didn't answer right away. Instead, he turned his eyes to the sky. "That depends on what we find in the capital." "What's there?" Rakel asked. "Data. Evidence. Proof that the Keth aren't working alone." The room fell silent. "You think there's something else?" Yorna asked. Jace nodded. "We always do." That night, the Varnak held a small ceremony for their dead. They lit fires, sang songs of old battles, prayed for peace, even if they no longer believed in it. Some humans watched from a distance, silent. One of them, a woman with a scared face, whispered, "They still hope. I remember when we used to do that." The next morning, Earth's full message arrived. It came as a transmission, short, cold, and clear. "To the Keth Dominion, your crimes are recorded. Your fate is sealed. Earth is coming." Rakel heard the message and looked at Jace. "Is this vengeance?" "No," Jace replied. "This is justice." The ground shook again. More dropships landed. And in the distance, the Keth began to scream, because the Deathworlders weren't just here to help. They were here to finish the war. The forest burned behind them. Smoke rose high into the sky, turning the air thick and gray. The Keth were falling back faster now. Their attacks were weaker, their numbers shrinking. For the first time in years, the Varnak saw hope. But the humans did not celebrate. They pressed forward like machines, cold, quiet, and without mercy. At the command post, Rakel stood over a table with maps and glowing screens. His eyes were tired, but focused. They retreat, but they do not surrender. Why? Jace Carter stood across from him. His armor was blackened from battle, but he didn't seem tired. Because they're not afraid enough. Rakel raised a brow. "How much more fear do you plan to bring?" Jace said nothing. Instead, he touched a panel on the table. A hologram appeared, a tall, dark alien figure with 6 red eyes. Its mouth stretched too wide. Its skin looked burned and twisted. Rakel stepped back. "What is that?" "The true enemy," Jace said. "The ones controlling the Keth. We call them Whispers." Yorna stared at the image. "I've never seen that species before." "No one has," Jace said, "because no one who meets them lives long enough to tell anyone." He turned toward Rakel and Yorna. "Your people thought the Keth were monsters. but they're just slaves. Mind-broken weapons. The real threat hides behind them. Rakel was silent. Why didn't you tell us this before? Because you wouldn't believe it, Jace replied. We didn't either, until they came for Earth. He tapped a button. Another hologram appeared. Earth's orbit, once peaceful, then filled with fire. Giant ships, bigger than cities, tearing through space. Millions dead. That was 50 years ago. We fought back, Jace said, but not just with guns. We fought with fury, with hate, because they took everything from us. Yorna looked away. So you didn't come to help us. Jace didn't deny it. No, we came to find the Whispers. The Keth were the trail. At that moment, a soldier ran into the command tent. Sir, we found something. Minutes later, Rakel, Yorna, and Jace stood at the edge of a deep crater. Inside was a half-buried tower made of black metal. It hummed quietly. Around it, dead Keth lay with wide eyes, their bodies twisted unnaturally. One of the human scientists spoke. It's a whisper relay. It controls their minds. We've seen these before, but this one is active. Jace looked at the machine. Destroy it. No. Rakel stepped forward. We should study it. You don't study poison, Jace said coldly. You burn it. He raised his weapon and fired. The tower cracked and exploded in flames. The ground trembled. Far away, Keth soldiers suddenly screamed and dropped their weapons. They lost control, Yorna whispered. The tower was commanding them. Jace nodded. Now you understand. That night, the humans gathered for a meeting. Rakel and Yorna listened from the side, still unsure if they were allies or prisoners. Major Cross spoke first. We've confirmed 3 more towers across the region. If we destroy them, the Keth will collapse. And the Whispers? Asked Jace. Still hidden, but not for long. The towers call to them. They'll come to defend them. Rakel stepped forward. You're risking everything. We always do, Cross replied. But what if you lose? Yorna asked. Jace looked at her. Then we die standing. The next morning, the humans moved fast. 3 squads split off, each heading toward a tower. Rakel insisted on joining one team. Yorna joined another. Jace led the most dangerous one, deep inside the Keth capital, where the largest tower stood. As they moved through ruined cities, the Varnak saw what the Whispers had done to the Keth. Mindless drones walked in circles. Some tore at their own skin. Others screamed at nothing. The towers had stolen their minds. Their will. It wasn't war anymore. It was horror. Jace reached the main tower just before dusk. It stood taller than anything else on the planet, black metal stretching into the clouds, covered in glowing symbols. And waiting at its base was something new. Not a Keth. A Whisper. It stepped forward on long, spidery legs. Its mouth didn't move, but a voice echoed in Jace's head. You bring death. We bring silence. Jace raised his weapon. Then speak your last words. The battle was brutal. The Whisper moved fast, bending the air, twisting minds. 2 human soldiers dropped their weapons and began screaming. Others fought blind, blood running from their ears. But Jace kept going. He gritted his teeth and pressed a button on his armor. A pulse exploded from his chest. A mental shield. The Whisper staggered. Jace ran forward and plunged a blade into its core. The creature let out a scream, not with sound, but with thought. A wave of pain blasted out. Birds fell from the sky. Rocks cracked. Then silence. The tower cracked and fell. All across the region, Keth soldiers dropped to their knees, free for the first time in years. Jace stood over the body. One down. He looked up, because he knew. This was only the beginning. The sky turned red. At first, the Varnak thought it was just the sunset, but then the clouds changed. They twisted unnaturally, as if something was crawling through them. Then came the sound, a low, humming roar that made the ground shake. The whispers had arrived. Jace Carter stood on the high ridge, staring at the dark sky. His armor was scratched. His weapon was hot in his hands. Behind him, Varnak survivors gathered, staring in fear. Even the strongest warriors stepped back. Yorna whispered, "That sound, it's inside my head." Rackle held his chest. "I feel it too, like it's trying to speak." "No," Jace said. "It's not trying. It is speaking." Then a voice filled the air, not from a speaker, not from a ship, but from everywhere. "You burned our voice. Now feel our silence." And suddenly, all communication was gone. Radios died. Screens went black. Human tech froze. Even the lights in the camp flickered and went out. "What's happening?" Rakel shouted. Jace clenched his jaw. "EMP, but not normal. It's psychic. They're jamming everything, even thoughts." Then the sky opened. Black ships poured through, silent, fast, and shaped like blades. They didn't roar like human craft. They whispered as they passed, leaving behind shadows and cold wind. The first strike came fast. One moment, there was a patrol out near the forest. The next, it was gone. Just gone. No fire, no sound, just ashes and silence. Yorna stared in horror. "They're erasing us." Jace didn't hesitate. "Get to the bunkers. All civilians underground. Fighters with me." Humans and Varnak ran to their positions. The ground shook as human railguns opened fire. Plasma bolts lit up the sky. Explosions rocked the valley. But the whispers kept coming. They didn't move like normal enemies. They flickered, shifted, one moment far away, the next behind your shoulder. They appeared in flashes of light and disappeared in screams. Jace fought on the front line. His armor adapted fast, scanning their movements. His blade hummed with energy, slicing through shadowy forms. But every time he killed one, another appeared. "We can't hold them," a Varnak soldier shouted. "We don't need to hold," Jace replied. "We need to buy time." "Time for what?" Rakel asked, breathing hard, firing at ghosts. Jace smiled darkly. "For the real weapons." From the sky, giant dropships arrived, bigger than anything the Varnak had seen before. They hit the ground like meteors. The sides opened, and machines walked out, huge, two-legged walkers with human pilots inside. They weren't pretty. They weren't smooth, but they were death. "Release the juggernauts," Jace shouted. One by one, the mechs stepped forward. Rockets fired. Cannons spun. Shields absorbed blast after blast. Each machine was a fortress on legs. The whispers charged. And this time, they broke. For the first time, they screamed. Rakel stood beside a fallen mech, watching one whisper flee. "They can feel fear?" he asked, amazed. "Yes," Jace replied, reloading. "And they should." But then something changed. A loud boom echoed. One of the juggernauts stopped moving. Its pilot screamed inside. Its armor turned black. Then it exploded in a blast of red light. "What was that?" Yorna asked. Jace stared at the sky. "They've learned," he said. "They're adapting." The whispers began using new tricks. They melted through metal. They floated above explosions. Some walked through walls. The battle changed again. And that's when the humans activated their final option. "Project BLCQUT," Major Cross said through the broken comms, authorizing dead protocol. Rakel watched as one human walked into the battlefield alone. His armor was darker than night. No name, no face, just silence. Yorna whispered, "Who is that?" Jace's face was hard. "A ghost operative." The figure raised one hand. A glowing sphere floated above it, pulsing with energy. Then it exploded, not with fire, but with pure nothing. The whispers vanished. Not died. Vanished. Every sound stopped. Even the air felt frozen. Then it ended. The battlefield was silent. Whispers gone. But the price was high. Dozens of human soldiers lay dead. 3 juggernauts destroyed. Varnak warriors lost. The ground was black, burned from the strange energy. Jace sat down on a broken wall, covered in ash. Rakel sat beside him. "Is it over?" Rakel asked. Jace didn't answer right away. "No," he said finally. "That was just a scout wave. The real war is coming." Yorna walked up, her voice shaking. "Then what do we do now?" Jace looked at the sky, where stars were returning. "Now," he said, "now we call Earth." But the jamming. Rakel started. Jace held up a small device, a beacon, one signal, shielded from the mind attacks. He pressed the button. Far away, in Earth's orbit, a satellite blinked. And somewhere, deep in space, the sky was quiet again. The whispers were gone, for now. But the cost was heavy. The battlefield was full of smoke, broken machines, and wounded fighters. Varnak and human medics worked side by side, pulling survivors from the rubble. Even the strongest soldiers looked tired. Yorna sat on a rock, holding her injured arm. She had never seen a battle like this, not even in her darkest dreams. "We survived," she said quietly. Jace Carter stood nearby, cleaning his weapon. Barely. Rakel limped toward them. His armor was cracked, his face bloody, but his eyes were steady. Was that the end of it? Jace didn't even look up. No, that was just the start. Yorna frowned. Then what was the point of this fight? "To send a message," Jace said, standing. "And now Earth has heard it." At that moment, a low rumble filled the air. The ground trembled slightly. Everyone stopped moving and looked up. A single dot appeared in the sky, then another, then 10, then hundreds. One by one, massive ships dropped from orbit, dark gray with glowing engines, each one the size of a mountain. Not sleek, not shiny, but heavy, brutal, and human. Varnak citizens dropped to their knees in shock. Some cried, others stared in silence. They had never seen anything like it. Even Rakel was speechless. "Are those warships?" Jace nodded. "The fleet," Earth's reply. As the ships descended, hundreds of smaller craft broke off. Fighters, drones, and dropships. They moved in perfect formation. Within minutes, they covered the skies. One dropship landed near the command post. The door opened with a hiss. A woman stepped out, wearing dark blue armor with a silver badge on her chest. She looked around with calm eyes. "Which one of you is Carter?" she asked. Jace stepped forward. "Ma'am." She gave him a sharp nod. "General Ava Thorne, Earth Command. We've reviewed your signal. Good work holding the line." Jace motioned toward Rakel and Yorna. "These are the local allies. Without them, we wouldn't have lasted." Ava nodded to them. "Then Earth owes you a debt." Rakel hesitated. "You came to help us." "No," Ava said. "We came to end this." She pointed at the horizon. "We know where the main whisper ship is, deep underground, hidden. But now we have the firepower to reach it." "How?" Yorna asked. Ava smiled. "We drill." Back at the Varnak capital, humans set up new machines, massive towers with long arms and humming cores. They started digging, sending shockwaves into the planet. "These are seismic drills," one human explained. "They can crack a moon in half." Over the next 2 days, humans and Varnak worked together to prepare. Huge transports moved soldiers. Artillery was set up. Drone swarms scanned the skies. For the first time in years, the Varnak felt something new. Control. But the whispers were not finished. On the 3rd night, a storm rolled in, unnatural and full of lightning. And with it came a final message. Voices echoed in everyone's mind, old, cold, and hateful. You open the ground. You dig your graves. And then the ground opened itself. Not where the humans were drilling. Somewhere else. A giant hole burst open in the northern mountains. From it came dark ships, crawling machines, and creatures that looked half dead, half metal. The Whispers had brought their true army. The final battle had begun. Alarms rang through the camps. Human forces responded instantly. Fighters scrambled. Drums launched. Turrets turned. The front line moved north. Jace was already in a command vehicle, shouting orders. Split the squads. Juggernauts to the high ground. Keep the artillery behind the ridges. General Ava Thorne stayed calm. We hold them here, she said. And we drill there. The battlefield shook as human tanks fired into the advancing enemy. Railguns cracked open the night. Missiles soared. The ground burned. But the Whispers were endless. They crawled over bodies. They screamed in minds. They drained light from the sky. In the chaos, Yorna led a squad of Varnak soldiers. We pushed forward, with the humans. Rackle held the rear line, protecting the wounded. If we fall back, we fall forever. In the middle of it all, Jace Carter stood tall. Bullets flying, blood running. And yet, his eyes burned with rage. He wasn't fighting for Earth anymore. He was fighting for every world the Whispers had tried to break. He pressed a button on his arm. All forces, he said, you are Deathworlders. And it's time they learned what that means. The soldiers roared. Even the Varnak shouted in replay. The humans charged forward, shoulder to shoulder with their alien allies. The Whispers had numbers, but humans had fury, and Earth had come prepared. The Earth cracked wide open. Deep below, the seismic drills had finally finished their work. A huge hole had been made, one that led straight to the heart of the enemy. The Whisper Hive. From above, it looked like a dark wound in the planet. Black smoke rose from the deep tunnel. Strange lights flickered below, and a cold wind blew from the depths. Jace Carter stood at the edge, staring down. This is it, he said. General Ava Thorne nodded. Once we drop in, there's no turning back. All around them, human soldiers loaded weapons. Varnak warriors stood beside them. Drones hovered. Mechs powered up. The final push was ready. In the distance, the battle still raged. The Whisper army was trying to stop them, throwing everything it had into the northern mountains. But it was too late. The humans had slipped past them. And now, they were going for the throat. Yorna looked at the hole with wide eyes. That place feels wrong, like it's alive. It is, Jace said, but not for long. One by one, dropships rose and then lowered into the hole, heading deep underground. The air grew colder, the darkness thicker. The walls around them pulsed like flesh. Rakel gripped his spear tightly. Why would something like this exist? General Thorne answered quietly. Because the universe has nightmares too. After 15 minutes of silent descent, the dropships landed. They had reached the core. The hive. It was massive, like a city built from bone and metal. Pulsing towers reached into the dark. Pools of black liquid glowed softly. Strange figures moved in the shadows. At the center stood something huge. A massive creature, taller than any building. Its skin looked like glass and shadow. Its face had no eyes, just a mouth that never moved. But its voice was everywhere. You bring fire into the silence. You will burn with it. Jace stepped forward. Not this time. The final battle began. Humans charged, guns blazing. Mechs fired missiles. Varnak warriors swung blades and hurled energy spears. Drones flew overhead, dropping bombs into nests. The Whispers fought back with everything they had. They twisted time. They bent space. They sent screams into minds. Some soldiers fell, clutching their heads. Others were dragged into the shadows, but the rest fought on. Jace led from the front. his energy blade slicing through enemy after enemy. Yorna used her fire staff to clear entire waves. Rakel's shield deflected psychic blasts as he charged into the fray. And then, the Whisper Lord moved. It didn't walk, it glided. Each step made the ground bleed. It reached out with its mind, trying to crush Jace. But he resisted. "You've killed enough," Jace growled. "This ends now." He tossed a small device into the air. It hovered. A singularity bomb. A weapon so dangerous, it was banned on Earth. "Fall back," General Thorne shouted. Now, all human and Varnak forces pulled back, running toward the dropships. The Whisper Lord screamed, trying to stop the device, but it was too late. The bomb activated. A sphere of black light expanded, pulling everything into it. The hive began to collapse, walls folding, towers shattering, air twisting. The Whisper Lord screamed once more, then vanished. The dropships blasted upward, rising fast through the tunnel as the hive exploded behind them. When they reached the surface, the ground shook. A pillar of light burst from the hole, reaching into the sky. Then, silence. The Whisper Hive was gone. Jace lay on the ground outside the dropship, breathing hard. Yorna knelt beside him, her face covered in dirt and blood. "You're alive," she said. He smiled weakly, disappointed. She punched his shoulder. "Shut up." Rakel sat nearby, watching the sky turn blue again. The clouds cleared. The air grew warmer. It was over. Later that day, the remaining Whisper forces on the planet crumbled. Without the hive, their link was broken. They scattered, confused and weak. Human ships hunted down the last of them. And soon, silence truly returned. But this time, it was peaceful. Back at the Varnak capital, a massive ceremony was held. Human and Varnak flags flew side by side. General Thorne gave a short speech. "We came to help," she said, "but we leave with something greater, unity." The crowd cheered. Jace stood in the back, watching. Yorna came to stand beside him. "You're a hero now," she said. "I don't feel like one. You saved my people." He looked at her. "No, we saved each other." She smiled. "So what now?" Jace looked at the stars. "There are other planets, other battles, other nightmares. But now, they know, Earth isn't alone, and we're not afraid of the dark." He turned to Yorna. "You in?" She grinned. "Always." The camera panned up, into the sky, past the ships, past the stars, into the vast galaxy. And a single voice echoed through space. "To the enemies of peace, know this, humanity stands ready. We are Deathworlders, and we do not run."